Welcome back! This time, we're going to look at what the great critical drinker has to say about Disney's live-action remake of Snow White. And yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. From tone-deaf interviews to baffling creative choices, it seems like Disney is once again charging headfirst into a reimagining that nobody really asked for. Let's start with the most striking part of this whole thing. The absolute disconnect between Disney's modern interpretation and the original 1937 classic. In the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Snow White is a sweet, kind, and gentle character. She's optimistic, soft-spoken, and deeply rooted in the fairy tale tradition. A damsel in distress, sure, but also a character whose warmth brings people and animals together. She wasn't a girl boss, but she didn't need to be. Her strength was emotional, in her resilience, kindness, and the way she held on to hope in dark times. Now contrast that with what we're being promised in this remake. Rachel Zegler, the lead actress, has made headlines not for praising the opportunity to play this iconic role, but for trashing the original movie. In interviews she's called it weird, outdated, and irrelevant, saying Snow White won't be saved by the prince and doesn't dream about true love anymore. In her words, this version of Snow White is a leader, and the story is about what she wants. Now listen, evolving characters is fine, great even, when done with care. But what the critical drinker points out, and I fully agree, is that this isn't evolution. It's rejection. It's taking a beloved classic and acting like it's embarrassing. Disney is treating its own source material like a mistake that needs to be corrected, and that is baffling. What makes it worse is the marketing. The drinker's video nails this. When your actress is doing press by mocking the original, saying she only watched it once and found it strange, you've already alienated your base. Why insult the fans of the very story you're trying to reintroduce? Imagine remaking The Godfather and saying, well, the original is kinda cringe, but don't worry, ours is better. It's arrogant, unnecessary, and guaranteed to spark backlash. What should be a celebration of legacy has turned into a rebranding exercise. One that says, we don't respect the past, but we'll still cash in on it. Let's talk about the dwarfs, or rather, the magical creatures. In a move that almost feels like parody, Disney decided to scrap the classic Seven Dwarfs as we know them, and replace them with a diverse band of vaguely defined magical folks, supposedly to avoid stereotypes. But here's the thing, the original dwarfs had personalities. They were charming, memorable, and integral to the heart of the film. Each one, Grumpy, Dopey, Doc, Sleepy, brought something to the story. They were individuals, not just props. The new approach? It feels like overcorrecting for a problem that wasn't really there. Instead of addressing concerns with nuance, they've just flattened the whole concept. The critical drinker rightly points out that this feels like another case of throwing out the baby with the bathwater. This whole situation is emblematic of a larger trend in Hollywood, the need to remake old stories without actually loving them. Studios chase IP goldmines but treat the source material like a relic to be apologized for. The original Snow White was groundbreaking. It was the first full-length animated feature film. It won a special Oscar, 7 little statuettes to go with it, and it literally changed cinema. Say what you will about its traditional roles. It was a product of its time, but it was also a labor of love, full of magic, music, and emotion. What we're seeing now is more cynical. It's a rework driven by messaging, not storytelling. By trying so hard to fix a story that was never broken, they risk stripping away the very qualities that made it resonate in the first place. So yeah, the critical drinker doesn't pull punches. And honestly, he's spot on here. If you want to reimagine Snow White for a modern audience, do it with care. Do it with respect. You don't have to copy the original frame for frame, but you also don't have to pretend it was some embarrassing footnote in Disney history. At the end of the day, the question isn't, how do we make Snow White more modern? It's, how do we tell a great story again? Thanks for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is Disney headed in the wrong direction with this remake? Or are we just being too precious about the past? Either way, I'll be here to break it down with you next time. Cheers.